Tonight on CTV News, how you can get rid of those unwanted door knockers. We're behind the scenes for Christchurch's biggest fireworks display, and we have a sneak preview of a massive development planned for Ashburton.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Good evening to you. The days of unwanted salespeople knocking on your door could be numbered. Community groups are calling for tough new measures to stop them from even walking up your driveway. Emma Cropper reports.
Are they harmless salespeople, or are they preying on the elderly? A campaign to stop dodgy door-knocking sellers could see them looking elsewhere for their next sale.
Hi there, my name's Adam and I'm here to interest you in some puzzles we're selling today.
The Do Not Knock campaign has kicked into action this week, but the country's consumer watchdog wants the Fair Trading Act changed, making dodgy sales tactics illegal when they see one of these Do Not Knock stickers. A campaign which has the support of Canterbury Age Concern.
I think often older people who might be lonely accept these people in, someone to chat to, and the problem of course is once they get in the door they're very difficult to get rid of.
Under the current law, if someone doesn't leave the property after being asked the first time, they are regarded as trespassing. Consumer New Zealand is hoping these stickers will act as part of that first warning.
The idea behind this really is to stop the rights of people, as we all can go and knock on someone's door, and this will take away that right for people selling things, and we're looking forward to seeing how that might be enforced in the courts if people continue to take advantage of this.
Simon Templeton, Canterbury Age Concern's Chief Executive, says they hear of hundreds of cases a year where salespeople have pressured elderly into buying their products.
We've had older people saying to us that they've felt threatened, bullied by these people and have bought something just to get rid of them.
A law change in Australia has made it illegal for sellers to ignore the Do Not Knock stickers. Just last week, a salesperson was fined for pressuring an elderly woman into buying a $2,000 vacuum cleaner. But until law changes are made in New Zealand, Templeton is warning locals to close the door when the salespeople come knocking.
An environment really that puts you at risk of being talked into something that you don't need or want.
A recent consumer survey found more than 60% of its members dubbed the traders as annoying and intrusive. If these changes go ahead, locals could at last be able to say no when the intrusive sellers come knocking. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Christchurch's biggest fireworks display is set to light up the New Brighton Pier tonight despite the dodgy weather. And reporter Marcus Gibbs joined local pyrotechnics as they set up what's promising to be the best display of the year.
The weather gods aren't happy. Dark clouds are covering the New Brighton sky, and the rain is slowing down the fireworks setup. These pyrotechnicians aren't feeling confident that tonight's show can still go ahead.
Ooh, I'd say about 50-50 at the moment.
It's not all doom and gloom. This team is used to dealing with rain, and Cantabrians are promised a treat if it all goes to schedule, when more than $36,000 of fireworks are set alight.
But we've got a few more firing systems and a spooky theme.
It's the watching crowd who are likely to get the raw deal. Thousands are due to pack out the shoreline tonight for the festivities. The hope is that the rain will pass over by the time the big red button is pushed at 9 p.m. If it doesn't, numbers may be down on previous years, but no one was willing to predict the turnout this afternoon.
We haven't really done a rainy one here for, well, forever, I suppose.
And even if the rain does pass over, there's a chance the clouds may block out the fireworks, or even worse.
Our biggest enemy is wind, though. We can rig a fireworks show in the pouring rain, and we can fire one in the pouring rain, but generally the crowd won't be too happy. But high winds are a killer. We just can't risk things flying too far off course after we've let them go.
Last year's fireworks set to the tune of 007 theme songs left the crowd captivated. Tonight's cold and stormy weather may just set the scene for this year's spooky Halloween theme. Security is tight on the pier before tonight's big event. The various mortars and fireworks are all treated like loaded weapons. With good reason. These are a lot bigger than your standard pack from the supermarket. So, should fireworks be banned? Lachlan's joining in on the debate. He says backyard fireworks make him nervous.
I mean, even our products we like to screen, and every now and then we get something in and decide it's not really fit for use in the environment we'd intended it for, and I'd say the same thing happens a lot with domestic product. But quality control is probably not as good all the time.
The entire event costs $86,000 to run. $40,000 of that is spent on traffic management, security and marketing costs. The New Brighton Twilight Market will run from 5 to 9 tonight, and families are encouraged to brave the weather and the traffic to watch the show. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
The victim of a fatal crash in Rolleston has been named. Canterbury police say 68-year-old Therese Maureen Smith from Greymouth was killed in the fatal crash on State Highway 1 last night. Mrs Smith was travelling south behind a stock truck and trailer when her vehicle was struck by a northbound car that collided with the vehicle in front of her. Now, in a statement, her family says her death is very hard to come to terms with, and they're asking for privacy while they work through their grief. Now, we understand police are continuing to investigate the actual cause of the crash or why it even happened, and her death has been referred to the coroner. Well, other news now, the housing crisis that continues to plague our city. And it's no surprise community groups are calling on the government to get out its wallet again to help the most vulnerable in our city. A local social worker says she's sick and tired of seeing families living in cars because of skyrocketing rental prices.
A petition's up and running to urge the government to increase Christchurch's accommodation supplement as rental prices soar. Local social worker Caitlin Evans started the petition after seeing her clients struggling to survive on the $120 a week supplement. That's almost half of what North Island families receive. The online petition is nearly at 1,500 signatures. Evans needs 5,000 before taking it to Parliament. The social worker is now calling for the government to increase the payout for Christchurch renters, bringing it in line with assistance available to Wellington and Auckland. The city's house prices and rental costs have skyrocketed since the earthquakes, but the accommodation supplements for low-income workers and beneficiaries has fallen behind. Evans says the government's promises to review the supplement sometime next year is ridiculous. Last month, the Christchurch City Council wrote to the Social Housing Minister Paula Bennett, urging her to increase the accommodation supplements for low-income earners. The letter also asked the government to re-evaluate the subsidy provided through the Canterbury Earthquake Temporary Accommodation Services.
Well, are Christchurch couples choosing their career over kids? Well, new statistics from the census show that although couples with kids are still in the majority, those without have increased by 15% since 1991. Now, this trend is slightly higher in Christchurch, with only 40% of couples having children. Well, still to come here at CTV News, another fireworks story and cleaning up the beaches, plus your local weather. Stay with us.
With all the latest innovations in the world of technology, Shift has everything you need to stay informed and in the know. Shift, 2:15 on Monday, right here on CTV.
Our new companion package is a personalised service for those that need extra help and support. A cost-effective solution for someone who needs more than just a taxi driver. Our drivers are hand-picked from our experienced team and specialise in providing the right support and companionship. Home safe every time with Blue Star Taxis.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service on time, every time. 0800 222 526。
敬请收看 CTV Freeview 40频道首档华语原创系列电视节目 Chinese in Canterbury. Join us in watching Chinese in Canterbury on CTV.
Welcome back to CTV News. Well, it's a debate that never seems to go away. Should fireworks be banned? Well, a select committee met to discuss the issue today following a 29,000 strong petition. The Prime Minister says fireworks will probably be phased out eventually, but what do you think?
It's an annual tradition and fun for the whole family. Well, that's how it's marketed at least. ACC figures show that last year fireworks injured 493 people, as well as sparking 187 fires. Since 2007, Canterbury hospital bills for firework injuries have added up to $105,000. Nationwide, 3,200 ACC claims have cost the taxpayer $1.5 million. So, should fireworks be banned, or should we still be allowed to buy the traditional explosive?
Something to look forward to, and it's good for the kids and stuff, so yeah, it's a fun time.
You'd probably have a little bit more control, sort of like no firework areas in certain places.
I don't think they're very safe, actually. Yeah, no, I don't like them at all.
Carrie swears they're dangerous. She's been completely put off them after her friend was burnt decades ago.
I have a really vivid memory of my childhood, a girlfriend. We were doing fireworks with our parents, and I think it was the Catherine wheel came off the fence and it landed down her top and she got quite bad burns.
These two say the more dangerous the fireworks, the better.
Bring it on, yep. Nah, more fireworks, bring back pohas and tom thumbs.
Yeah, the bigger ones.
Yeah, the bigger ones, yeah.
Although they seemed a bit confused about the meaning behind Guy Fawkes.
New Zealand tradition, you know? Yeah, well, it's a French one, but, you know, we'll go with it.
So what's the verdict?
I think they should be banned, to be fair, and just limited to public displays.
Oh, I think it would have a detrimental effect and stuff, you know. People look forward to these occasions and stuff.
It's something that happened in a country on the other side of the world 1 million years ago, and what's the significance of it in New Zealand today?
I think people are going to want to have that kind of fun, but maybe people just need to be educated to learn the obvious things about handling fireworks.
When used inappropriately, yeah, it can be dangerous, but public shows and that type of thing, I think, a good idea.
Despite the support for public shows, the chance of rain seemed to be putting off the crowds from turning out tonight. Many of the people I spoke to were not planning to head to New Brighton for the big event, which could indicate that Guy Fawkes will be celebrated at home this year. This could result in a rather big night for the local fire service. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
A government proposal to provide new state houses in Aranui isn't going down well with residents. The plan would see higher density housing with less outdoor space, and that's angered local residents who have been fighting for larger properties to accommodate larger families. Housing New Zealand is expected to release its controversial plans tomorrow, and CTV News will be right there to bring you all the details. Well, further south now, and a massive new complex planned for Ashburton has got local residents excited. The $40 million project will include apartments, retail and even a much-needed medical centre. CTV News got a sneak preview of the plans.
Local developers are joining forces to build a $40 million retail complex. After earthquake-damaged buildings forced them to shut up shop, private landowners in Ashburton will build the Eastfield precinct, creating 77 apartments, hospitality outlets, shops, offices, a medical hub and a public square. The plans have taken 3.5 years, and company spokesman Brian Davidson says the precinct will give tourists a choice of accommodation and provide an attractive place for private apartments and professional offices. The site will cover more than a hectare of land, bordering Burnett and Cass Streets and the Ashburton Arcade. The state-of-the-art medical hub is in response to the needs of the town. It will house doctors, surgeries, a pharmacy and a physiotherapist. Ashburton Mayor Angus Mackay says the complex is good news. It will help revive the damaged town, complementing rather than competing with existing facilities. Construction is set to kick off in the middle of next year.
Well, Maori protocol has been breached, but it's okay for a good cause. A special Christchurch school has been gifted a Maori name by a local helper, and the kids got to celebrate the gift in a very special way.
A welcoming of new beginnings and sending hope to the students. Today's marking the official welcoming of Billy Kraitiana after 3 years of service to Ferndale Primary. He's gifted the school with the name Te Matapuna Aroha, Te Matapuna Whakapānau, a symbol of the Springs of Hope and linking the school to the natural springs underneath Christchurch.
Many years ago, the tohunga would use, there were a couple of springs that were used for healing, and they mingle with the Avon or Takaro and all the other springs.
Students, staff and parents crowding around for the blessing of the school's name and carving, now officially giving the school, its students and staff a connection with the city.
It's linked to Christchurch, it's linked to our young people, and it's our Ferndale motto is to be the best that we can be. It's about being a whole person.
The special education school caters for more than 140 students, aged from new entrant through to 21 years old, providing education, therapy and special care needs. Today, those students were given a rare opportunity, breaking away from tradition at today's Pōwhiri, allowing students to perform and take part in proceedings.
However, because our students may never have this experience, we have tried to involve as many students as possible.
It's a very special day for them.
It is a very special day.
The wet weather didn't dampen the students' spirits, who spent hours practicing for today's event. Living up to their school motto. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Well, more and more of us are doing our bit to clean up the beach. More than 80 volunteers and several local MPs got out the plastic bags to clean up New Brighton Beach. The clean coincides with Conservation Week. Hundreds of bags of rubbish were collected over the day, and always remember to do your bit for the environment. Well, New Zealand's unemployment figures, good news really, the lowest they've ever been in more than 5 years. And Canterbury's rebuild is leading the trend. New data shows unemployment in the South Island is at 3.2%, while North Island figures are nearly twice as high. Unsurprisingly perhaps, construction is the standout performer, with over 33,000 jobs added in the past year. Well, still to come on CTV News, your regional weather.
Let's face it, everyone has an agenda. And guess what? So do I. Every week, I'll pick 3 stories that grab my attention. Agenda with me, Brent Goff.
The world really is your oyster with Farm to Farm tours. Discover some of the world's best farming, scenery and cultural experiences. We work closely with trusted international colleagues in more than 30 countries to customise great trips for people just like you. For a hassle-free trip, call the friendly team at Farm to Farm Tours now or visit our website.
Are you having trouble with your old mower or just have too much grass? At Mead Mowers and Chainsaws, with our wide range of Husqvarna mowers, no job is too big or too small. We stock rotary, ride-on, zero turn, out front articulated riders, and robotic order mowers. We have the Husqvarna mower for you. Call in and visit Gavin or Peter at Mead Mowers and Chainsaws.
Arts 21 showcases the vast creative talent and minds that are making a name for themselves in Europe and beyond. Think outside the square with Arts 21.
Welcome back to CTV News. Well, now that the summer racing season is in full flight, we take a look at a unique sport catching the eye of Canterburyans.
Sidecar racing, or co-driving for lunatics. Yes, I was out at Ruapuna Raceway to try my hand at the trade. Warwick Demix has been in the sport for a number of years in both the driver's seat and the idiot's seat, as I came to know it.
I've come to learn a little bit more about sidecar racing as well. Now, just looking at what I can see in front of me, this looks nothing like your average motorcycle. So tell us a little bit about the difference between a sidecar and your average motorcycle.
Well, probably sometime in the 60s, 70s, they started developing away from a motorcycle with an outrigger and a wheel on the end, and they started developing more from Formula race car technology, going to an alloy monocoque tub, wide slick wheels, and mounting the engines behind the riders rather than in front.
Because I mean, just looking at it, the length would almost be twice the length of a bike. What's the drive like compared to a motorcycle?
They actually spin up quite a lot. I don't think we've ever compared one, but lap time wise, the fastest side chairs are about 10 seconds slower than the fastest bikes around this track.
So that's the driver's seat. That's not where I'm going to be spending my time today though. So let's take a look at where I'll be hanging out.
All right, Warwick, let's come and have a look at this passenger tray. This is where I'm going to be hanging on for dear life.
Get on up, get on up, get up, get on up. Get up, get on up, get on up, get on up.
After making my way into the roomy overalls, it was time to take the hot seat.
Well, the first lap I think I did pretty good, and then I think I got a bit cocky, got a wee bit too much into it, lost my footing, and that just put me off the rest of the time. I was just hanging on for dear life, but great fun.
Local jazz enthusiasts are paying tribute to their icon who died this week. Acre Bill came to fame with his sassy brand of music and pinstripe waistcoats.
British jazz musician Acre Bilk has died at the age of 85. The self-taught clarinetist was the man best known for reviving traditional jazz in the mid-20th century, prior to the age of rock and roll. His 1962 single, A Stranger on the Shore, shot to #1, making him the second English artist on the Billboard Hot 100 list. His music and legacy leaving a mark on a local jazz player. Cantabrian musician Jeff Bradley has been playing the music of Acre Bilk since he was 17, having met his mentor in the 60s at Christchurch Airport. He and his band, the Delta Swing, have been performing Acre Bilk's music and swan song, Stranger on the Shore, for years around Canterbury. Following the musician's passing, Bradley will be playing tributes to him in Christchurch over the next 2 weeks.
And now the all-important region's weather.
First in Timaru, Temuka and Geraldine, 11 degrees today. Methven and Ashburton hit a high of 11, Rakaia 11 degrees. Looking now at Darfield 11, Leeston and Rolleston slightly cooler, hitting just 10 degrees. Lincoln and Christchurch, some crazy weather for you today. You reached a high of 10 degrees. Over in Akaroa, they had the low of the region on 9.
But everything's different.
Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley had one of the region's highs, but still only hit a mild 13 degrees.
Things ain't cooking in my kitchen.
Same goes for the Huranui district. Culverden, Hanna Springs and also Cheviot, 13 degrees today. And at the top in Kaikoura, 12 degrees. But what about tomorrow? In Timaru, mostly fine with sunny periods and some cloud. Expected to be cold with light southerly winds. 0 degrees overnight, hitting a high of 13 throughout your day.
Everywhere you go.
In Ashburton, frost's possible tonight with some sunny periods and a cool southerly wind. -1 overnight with a high of 13 throughout your day.
Everywhere you go. You always take the weather with you. Everywhere you go. You always take the weather.
Christchurch cold tonight and cold tomorrow as well, with some cloud creeping in at times. 0 degrees overnight, 13 throughout your day.
Well, there's a small boat made of China. It's going nowhere on the mantelpiece.
At the top in Kaikoura, mostly fine with sunny periods and some cloud, but still remaining cold with light southerly winds, hitting just 0 overnight and 13 throughout your day.
Everywhere you go, always take the weather with you. Everywhere you go, always.
And in other areas around the region, Temuka and Geraldine expect a cold night hitting -1. Methven and Ricard cloud for most parts of the day with a high of 13.
Always take the weather.
Darfield, Leeston and Rolleston expect a high of just 13. Looking at Lincoln, cloudy skies all day, reaching a high of 13 degrees. Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley a high of 13 and low of 0.
Everywhere you go, always take the weather with you. Everywhere you go.
Culverden, Hanna Springs and Cheviot, hopefully hitting the region's high of 14 degrees. And looking at what weather will be heading our way over the weekend. On Friday, expected to be mostly fine and sunny, with cold light winds, but it will become chilly at night with the chance of frosts. Mild weather is expected over the weekend, but clearing to become fine by Monday, with sunny periods and high cloud expected, along with moderate northeasterlies. If you're planning on heading to Cup Day on Tuesday, the weather is looking to be fine at this stage. There is a chance of some high cloud creeping in later in the afternoon, along with some northerly winds tending to fresh, warm northwesterlies later in the day. And that's your region's weather. Have a good night.
Thank goodness the sun is returning. Well, before we go tonight, take a look at this photo of some Wellington residents burning an effigy of the man himself, Mr. Guy Fawkes. Now, apparently this was quite the tradition back in the early 1900s. Look at that. Who would have guessed? In fact, doesn't the photo look like something from a horror film, doesn't it? Frightening, isn't it, really? Well, that's CTV News this Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe on the bumpy roads and have a great night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.